Everyone, good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Jim for this great opportunity to be able to work with him and his team over these many years. And as you've already seen, this is a great center to be with, and I feel very honored to be part of it. And I've learned a lot over the past years. So I'm going to talk about a measurement project. And so the project is trying to make the off-the-shelf fitness wearables accessible to wheelchair users. So, wearable technology has certainly evolved over the last decades, and you probably still remember the pedometers that we wear and around our waist, and now it's replaced with these trendy wristbands and also like smartwatches, and the technology will continue to evolve for sure, and also I think it's possibly going to play an even more important role because of the booming of Internet of Things. Everything around us will start getting connected and will be connected someday. So with all this connectedness, the individuals will be the center of the things. And how the individual connect with the world, wearable technology is one of the important means for us to do that. And also combine the wearable data about ourselves and also the Internet things to tell us the environment, how users interact with the environment. So it's more powerful data out there that allow us to explore and possibly take advantage of these data to actually drive motivations and to engage people to do physical activities. So I'll show you how this wearable industry grow. And this graph shows you the number of wearable devices that sold over the past 2 years and also some predictions in the next few years. So there's obviously a continued increase, and at least to 2019 and sort of plateaued around there. And also the revenue followed the same trend. And as you can see, the head-worn wearables and also the watches and bracelets are going to be the 3 important components of these wearable revenues. And so what wearables, fitness wearables telling us? And for a lot of us, who can ambulate, and we're interested in how many steps we walk, and the distance, and how many flight of stairs we climb, and active minutes and caloric expenditures. And what about wheelchair users? So we have done some survey studies with the users, and this is what they told us. And they want to know their push count, how many times they push to use their upper extremities, and what is their efficiency. And of course, they also want to know the distance traveled and speed, and active minutes and energy expenditure. But unfortunately, with all the devices on the market right now, and you cannot find one that provides you this information that's relevant to the users, to the wheelchair users. And for some of the variables that both the general public and wheelchair users are interested, like caloric expenditures and active minutes, are they accurate? So this is, there's some research study out there and to look into the accuracy of these devices within the general population. So there's meta-analysis, a systematic review done to look into these devices for the general population, and so they're divided into devices that rely on triaxial accelerometers. So this is the result. It's about -7%, and with the standard deviation around that, 18% to 4%. And with the sensors that rely on the multiple sensors in it, and the error goes down a little bit, and then the narrower is this 90% confidence intervals. And what about for wheelchair users? And so we actually recently published a systematic review, and we're able to pull studies from the field. We start seeing more people interested in this area and look into the measurement tools for wheelchair users. We're able to find 29 articles in this area, and most of them actually looked into how when we just apply these devices to wheelchair users and what's the error like. And so it's about 55%, and with the standard deviation like that. And some of the small amount of articles actually look into how we can create customized models for these users. And it was able to, we can see, reduce the error drastically, but there's a wide variety of variability there because the protocols are different, the measurement, the way the calculator measures are different. So there's really no consistent way of doing it. So that's why you see a large standard deviation there. So go back to the REP model. So this project, we're aiming to improve the access and usability of these fitness wearables for wheelchair users. So we hope to provide a tool for the users to be able to, wheelchair users to have relevant and also accurate information so they can act upon. And also for the clinicians and users, the clinicians and researchers to be able to use the tool to evaluate the effectiveness of their intervention that aims to promote physical activity in the community. So that's the goal of this project. So basically this is kind of the aim and also approach together. So we want to give user opportunities to choose different products on the market, and either they can put on their wheelchair or they can put it on their body, any part of the body. It could be the chest band, could be the wrist, could be the upper arm, and also like combine the information based on what they choose so we can provide customized algorithms for them. And further, we will embed these algorithms into a customized app so we can actually give these information in real time back to the user, both relevant to them and also accurate for them. So in this project, we primarily focus on developing the algorithm, but also we are starting looking to embed this algorithm into the customer's app. So this is what we did. Just a quick, I'll walk over this video. I'll talk about this video. So basically, we're recruiting people who use manual wheelchairs as long as they are full-time users. We don't care about their diagnosis. It can be any diagnosis. And we conduct the study in Pittsburgh and also in Lakeshore Foundation. This is a great resources. And we did in the home and also in the lab. And so we collect the data from all these kind of activities like basketball and it's kind of slow. So, and also some like propulsion along the ramp and propulsion, like regular propulsions and slow motion propulsions, and also doing some exercise with dumbbells, elastic band. In the home, we have them to do some regular activities like reading and also doing some sort of like a home exercise, stretching. So stretching exercise, resistance exercise, and also some house chores, so they are unloading dishwashers and cleaning up the kitchen. So we have a tons of activities for people to do, and then as you can see, we put a lot of devices on them too, on the chest band, on the arm, and on the wrist on both sides, and also use a portable metabolic card, give us the gold standard that we can compare with. So we're using these data that collected from the sensors and using some statistic modeling and machine learning methods to develop the models for these individuals and better match the gold standard that come out of this metabolic card. So I'm not going to go through the real process, but I'm going to show you some of the results from our device. And so we test out this device called SenseWare. It's on the upper arm. And so we're able to classify these activities successfully with about over 95% accuracy. We will be able to know when the user is resting, when they're doing some lightweight house core activities, and when they are doing propulsion, when they're doing armogometry work. So the device can actually let us know like which mode they are in right now. And also, we're able to create a customized algorithm for these individuals. And as you can see, with the default output, the device gives us like a minus 50% of the accuracy, and with our corrections, we're able to break down to like 10%. So it make it more usable, like more accurate for these individuals. And this is another view just showing you like the error for the default device. The band is actually the narrower the better, showing you the accuracy between the gold standard and also the estimation. This comes from the default device, and this is what after we corrected. So definitely we make it more usable for this population. And this is another device we have them wear on the wrist and the upper arm. And the same thing, we use the same approach and correct it. And as you can see, we can also dramatically drop the variability of the device, like it giving you the error. So with default device, with the default algorithm, it's about 300% of the variability there. And so we're able to bring it down to 10% plus minus 16%. And same with the upper arm locations, we're able to do that too. And again, this shows you the default device, and this shows you like with our customized models. And we also looked into another device called Active Heart. And so basically, this is a device with the heart rate monitors and accelerometers together. And adding the accelerometers to the heart rate information help us to reduce the false readings related to stress and also other like external stimuli. And because a lot of fitness wearables right now has the heart rate monitor built into it, the first thing we're looking at is how accurate those fitness wearables with the heart rate information compare with the chest-worn one. Because usually the chest-worn one is considered as the gold standard. It's directly measured like electric activities there. And the heart rate on the wearables is more used an optical method. So as you can see from this figure, we compare the Fitbit Surge, which has a heart rate monitor built in it, and with the chest band. With the low level intensity activity and moderate level intensity activities, it did track pretty well. But when it goes to higher level intensity, Fitbit Surge start getting scattered data there. And so there's more work that needs to be investigated for those fitness wearables with the heart rate functions. And this is still an area that we're working on right now. And also to create the customized energy expenditure models. So there's some ongoing work that we are also trying to explore is to looking at the ability to detect changes of these fitness wearables. So a lot of times we get questions from the clinicians. I want to provide an intervention. I want to know the before and after changes for my participant. How small of the change that your fitness wearable can detect reliably, and that's a real change. So we actually look at that to compare our customized models and the default models with the gold standard, how well they track the changes. And so this is the default model track the change. This is the gold standard. K4B2 is our gold standard track the changes. And the custom model, you can see from the sedentary to low intensity level of physical activity, the customized model track the changes pretty well with the K4B2 gold standard. Well, the default model, it doesn't really seem to track well. And for the low intensity to moderate intensity, also they track pretty well. But for the high intensity, no matter what model, it doesn't seem to work well. So it seems like more work needs to be done there, but also it gave us information that these fitness wearables might be more useful for everyday life kind of activity, may not be for like a sports kind of type of activity yet. And so more work needs to be done there. The other thing we are looking at is the applicability of our algorithm, because there's so many products out there, and every day probably there's a new one coming out, there's an old one phasing out. And so how we can actually keep up with that, we cannot test people with every device and then customize that. So what we did is we looked at the interoperability of our algorithm between the device, like the SenseWare and the ActiGraph. So because the underlying technology is very similar, so as long as we figure out the relation between the raw data between the two devices, we're able to apply the SenseWare model to the ActiGraph device and ActiGraph device model to the SenseWare. So we can do the interchangeably and to look at how accurate we can still use those models. So as you can see, they actually track pretty well. So meaning that it gave us an opportunity if we have a new device, as long as we figure out the raw data's difference with our tested device, we will be able to apply our model to those new devices. So that gave us a lot of opportunity to incorporate more devices on the market into this work, and instead of like going through these tedious testing like all the time. And so in terms of deliverables, we definitely see by the end of this RERC, we would like to get these solid customized models for fitness wearables worn at different body locations for people with disabilities. No matter how you choose to place them, we have a model for you to give you relevant and accurate information. And also we need to make these algorithms available. So two ways to do that. One is through this kind of app that we're developing right now. It's still a prototype phase. We're working to get this integrated into the whole thing integrated. And also we should talk to those companies and then to see whether they would like to adopt these algorithms so they can embed that into their software. So instead of user download our app, they can just use the mainstream product and choose the option wheelchair users and to be able to get information like that. That's a lot harder. We tried over years, and so ActiGraph has agreed to do that, but we still need to talk to more places and to see whether we can actually do that. Because a lot of changes involved with the manufacturer is at their firmware level, so it needs a lot of engineering power to be able to do that. So the company is kind of reluctant to make that changes. But temporarily, I think even our app, if we make it available, the user would be able to use it. So in terms of the future step, we definitely want to try more devices and give users a wide range of opportunities to choose, like those smartwatches and also the new IoT, like Internet of Things device. They're getting much cheaper, like $30 has all the sensors in it. And so we're able, if we can link this to our app, the user has a wide variety of options to be able to utilize this device to their needs. And another thing is for fitness wearables or any wearable device, the future of them is not really about the device itself, it's really about the data, how we can use the data to motivate and engage people and to be able to promote behavioral change. So there's a lot of most of the product on the market right now, they simply use these wearables as a recording device. So basically, give people a means to record what we had done. And so this is more like a self-monitoring tool. And self-monitoring has been established as a useful, effective tool for behavioral change, but it's far from being sufficient to make people change. So these fitness wearables has to be working with other things together. So basically, learning people's habit, and also provide those actionable coaching items. So from hearing these panels and also in the morning, I can see that these fitness wearables should be combined with aims, should be combined with powers. So basically, you need to provide these actionable coaching tips, and along with what I've already done. And so that basically gave you more powerful motivators to help people to listen to you rather than just show me the data 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps, something like that. So I think there's a lot of things that can be done there. And again, also another opportunity I see is these Internet of Things. And because every object is supposed to have sensors to tell you what happens with this object, how many times I use my water bottle, and how many times I use my dumbbells, how many times I use my elastic band, and where I'm likely to be active, where I'm likely to be sedentary. So if all this information can be communicated with the wearable devices, it will give us more the teachable moment to teach the people, so they will likely to respond. And also those coaching tips will be more relevant to their situation. So it's more personalized, like Mohan's study, more personalized is better. And so that's give us a lot of potentials of these technologies, and definitely if there's an opportunity, I would like to work with the RecTech team and to be able to implement this in the future. So thank you.